Hello everyone and welcome to the Starseed Dragon channel. This is a tarot review for the Wildwood Tarot and it's by Mark Ryan and John Matthews, and the illustration is done by Will Worthington. It is a regular 78 card full color deck with a 160 page guidebook. So let's open this up. I already took the plastic off. Let's see this book. Wow. Really cool. So I'm just going to read the description. It has meaning, reading points, roots and branches. Okay. So I'm just going to read the description parts from the guidebook. Nicely done. Nicely done book. Working with the deck. I'm sure there's a lovely introduction. Nice. Nicely done. Okay, so what do we have here? Let's see. Okay, since we have two sections, we'll go ahead and read them separately. The cards are, let's see, about 5 inches or, what is that, 12 centimeters by 3 inches or almost 8 centimeters. And I'll just keep these separate for now, just so that I could put them back in the box accordingly. They're nice. Ooh, they're nice thick cards. Here's the back. And let's see. Let's get to it. Let me get closer. So we can see a closer look at the cards. And there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and read the descriptions from the book as I do. And we'll go from there. Okay. So here we go. Okay, the wanderer, which would be the fool, right? Says, position on the wheel. The wanderer stands at the heart of the human cycle, in the innermost circle of the wheel, poised between the beginning and the end. This figure waits for guidance across the abyss of awareness and into the realm of archetypical consciousness. Description. Poised on the edge of a white chalk cliff, the wanderer prepares to step across the abyss and into the wildwood beyond. Ahead lies the faint suggestion of a rainbow arc onto which the wanderer must step. This leap across the void is greeted with open arms and a deep trust that the wings of imagination and honesty will carry the figure onto the lush green turf of a new path. Clothed in bark and the soft green mosses and foliage that symbolize the protective and healing essence of nature, the wanderer is neither strongly male nor female, both genders combining in the slender body. The figure's naked feet tread lightly on the sweet warm grass at the cliff edge and across the divide. Deep shadowed trees stand ready to receive this newcomer to the Wildwood. Amid the leaves of the tangled wood is the merest suggestion of a face, perhaps the spirit of the wood. Wonderful. Next card, the Shaman. Position on the wheel. The Shaman is the hub of the wheel, opposite the Seer. He is located in the quarter representing air and embodies aspects of magic, protection, and insight. Description. The Shaman looks from the card with eyes that are both clear and open, and yet there is something ancient and profound within his steady gaze. He is wrapped in a bear skin that is adorned with Paleolithic paintings of animal spirits taken from La Caverne des Trois Frères in the Ariège. Okay, I totally talked that up and I think it's French. My apologies. In one, a human form is wearing a bison skin and is playing a bow, appearing to dance to the music. In the other, an antlered, owl-headed creature looks out from the image. On the ground before him are laid objects that represent the four elements of the world: a roebuck skull, rattle, for air, a stone knife for earth, a smoking bundle for fire, and a hollow antler rind cup for water. He stands opposite the Seer on the personal inner hub of the wheel and mediates the element of air, representing energies and levels of consciousness that defy human rationalization and are therefore deemed to be magic. Beautiful. The Seer. Position on the wheel. The Seer is at the hub of the wheel in the quarter related to water and the emotions and linked to the mysteries of the moon and the earth. She is partnered with the Shaman and acts as a guide to the world tree. Description. The Seer is wrapped in the owl's cloak of wisdom, decorated with totem animals of power and shamanic spirits. She stands before the world tree, drawing wisdom from the roots that are deeply embedded in the earth. Close around her are the symbols of the four elements that she mediates: the cup, staff, arrowhead, and stone. From the head of her staff hang the crane bag and a set of runes. She may be masked, and her face may only be glimpsed or seen in half light. Her voice may be hushed, and she may speak in riddles, but if you listen, she can point you to new, wiser beginnings. So let's just take a step back here. So the Seer, or the Shaman, would be the magician in the traditional tarot, and this would be what, the High Priestess. So here we go with the Green Woman. The Green Woman stands at the midsummer solstice on 21 June. Its element is fire, and it is associated with noon. She is the earthly manifestation of female solar energy, otherwise known as the Empress, correct? Okay, the description. The green woman, disgorger of nature, crowned with ferns and wild roses, breathes the divine word of life. Her calm, serene expression is steady and full of graceful sovereignty. Around her neck is the golden Celtic gorget, representing the sun throughout the year. The golden amber cup before her has within it the milk of love and nourishing, and the Sheila Nagig on its side represents the life force of all women. The green woman symbolizes the forest at midsummer. Here, amid the luxuriant foliage, small animals and birds of the wildwood live and build their homes, creating a whole ecosystem within the branches and a safe haven for the innocent and vulnerable beneath its roots. Beautiful. Next up is the Green Mound, or the Emperor. Position on the wheel. The Green Mound stands with the Green Woman at the midsummer solstice. This is the time of greatest warmth, with the sun at its highest point in the sky. Fire is the element associated with this time. Description. The face of the Green Mound gazes from this card with a challenging and blazing stare. Golden summer sunlight radiates from the leaves that burst abundantly across his glowing face and reach across the heart of the sacred land. In front of him is the cauldron of thriving and regenerating nature, which is both a preserver and storehouse of the vital energy of creation and stability. It represents the throne of kingship, currently empty, and the green man guards it with the spear of power and the horn of plenty, ready for the king who will take his place and stand as defender of the land. Beautiful. Okay, the Ancestor, position on the wheel, placed at the nexus point between the passing winter and the coming spring. The Ancestor stands at Imbalik, which falls on 1 February. She is associated with the new moon and the elements of air and earth. Description. The antlered figure of the Ancestor is clad in reindeer skins and evergreen leaves and stands at the gateway to the Wildwood, framed by silver birch trees, colored the bone white of winter. These trees grew during the Ice Age and are one of the first to regenerate in the spring. The reindeer once roamed vast tracts of forest. The true ancestors of our post-Ice Age oak woodlands, and it is known that they used the same trackways through the landscape. Thus, Ice Age hunters would follow their paths year upon year, hunting their major source of food, marking time by their regular and predictable migration. When reindeer retreated north with the melting ice, the white hart glimpsed in the forest replaced their older mythology. The Ancestors' tracks also led into the Wildwood. The morning is clear and frosty, with the first glimmer of dawn shimmering on the horizon where the new moon hangs with the morning star, representing a new day and a reawakened soul. Beautiful. Next card. The Forest Lovers. Woo! Position on the wheel. The Forest Lovers are placed at Beltane, 1 May, the festive of the rites of spring and the gateway to summer. In this position, they balance the suits of bows and arrows and the elements of fire and air, and represent the willing interchange of energy that creates the fertile consciousness. Description. A man and woman stand side by side, clothed in the green and brown of the wildwood. They are Robin and Marion, the forest lovers, reborn time and again in the heart of the woods, sometimes known as Robin Hood and Marion, at other times by different names. Between them stands a maypole, generated by their exchange of energy and symbolized here by a living birch tree. Spiraling around this are green garlands reaching up toward the sky and representing the ascending earth energies which meet the descending energies of the sky. The forest lovers create a spark of life that generates a third force or energy. Arum lilies, or lords and ladies, as they are known, are in flower in this period of Beltane. They symbolize the male and female union at this time of year and the generative energies that bring fruitfulness and harmony within the cycle of the year. That is a gorgeous description, I must say. Okay, next card. The Archer. Position on the wheel. The Archer stands at the spring equinox on 21 March at the place of the sunrise, the element of air, creative energy, and inspiration. Here is the dawn of new life and the coming of a fertile and fulfilling season. Description. The archer holds the broad longbow poised on the act of release. The bow is of the mere heath design. The fletchlings are of goose feather, taken from the right wing, and the arrowhead is flint. The archer's gaze is focused and steady as she looks beyond the arrow into the sky, holding the tension between the bow and the sinew bowstring with controlled and relaxed intent. She wears a simple amulet and appears serene and confident, yet full of purpose. By her side wait 2 great hunting dogs, messengers of the power she holds within herself. Beautiful. Number 8, the Stag. Position on the wheel. The Stag shares the spring equinox, 21 March, with the Archer. He is associated with sunrise and the element of air. This is the position of universal lore, where the energy of creative light and of creative life enlivens the soul. Description. The stag, forest king and guardian, half human and half animal, and verdant with greenery, looks out from the card with a steady and calm gaze. He holds a polished haft axe and shield. His horns reach into the sky and are mirrored in the branches of the tree, before which he stands as a reminder of our cosmic connection to the universe and its manifestation in all organic life on the planet. The polished axe head is a manifestation of the human will to change the environment, and not always for the better. So a weighing up of action and responsibility is necessary. The shield, which bears the image of the symbolic major oak, reminds us that we must preserve and protect our natural resources. Next card, number 9, the Hooded Man. This would be the Hermit, yes? Position on the wheel. The Hooded Man stands at the winter solstice, or midwinter solstice, on 21 December, associated with Earth and the dark sun. This is the time of solitude and contemplation. It is the gateway of the dead and rebirth, the womb of the earth. Oh, this might be the death, right? Number 9. I thought 13 was death. Let me check. Yeah. Number 13 is death, right? So this has got to be the Hermit. A lone hooded figure stands before an ancient oak. It is midwinter. Thick snow covers the ground and the branches of the tree. The hooded man is dressed in an evergreen holly and berry cloak. He holds a stout staff in one hand and a lantern to light the pathway in the other. In the great tree is a battered and moss-covered wooden doorway. Through the swollen timbers, a warm light spills into the evening gloom. The inside of the great tree appears inviting, a haven from the chilling air. Above the doorway is a wheel-like wreath of holly and evergreen foliage. On a cold stone rising from the frozen earth, a wren watches and waits. A wren. Interesting. Okay. So here we go with the Wheel of Fortune, yes? It would be helpful if I turned the page. Okay. Number 10, the Wheel. Position on the Wheel. The wheel is placed at the autumn equinox, 21 September, with the element of water and the sunset. The setting sun gives warning that the days are shortening as winter approaches. Description. An Iron Age loom hangs between two hazel trees above a pool of still water. On the loom is an unfinished robe of ever-changing variety, woven with images representing the cycles of fate and nature. The wheel of the year is represented, and attached to the sleeves are feathers from the hawk, wren, swan, and kingfisher, sacred creatures of the Wildwood. Above the robe, we catch a glimpse of the sun and moon in the sky together. 3 herons stand at the margin of the pool-like hooded man, representing the fates and awaiting the completion of the robe and the coming of its owner. The loom waits for the skillful hand of the unseen weaver to complete the pattern of possibilities and potential that constitutes fate and chance. Wow, that's quite magical. Number 11, the Woodward. Position on the wheel. The Woodward stands at Lammas, 1 August, which falls as the summer wanes between the elements of fire and water. He is associated with the full moon, where Bose become vessels. Bose become vessels. Description. A human hunter wearing a mountain lion mask holds a bloodied spear in one hand and the cup of giving, intoxication, and compassion in the other. From the crossbar of the spear shaft hangs an ivory statuette of the oldest anthropomorphic figure found in Europe, a lion-headed human thought to be 30,000 years old. A lynx sits at the figure's side and an eagle swoops over his right shoulder. In the background, Silbury Hill symbolizes the harvest aligned to the sunrise at Lammas. The summer sun rises behind the woodward, its rays painting the world gold. Interesting. Next up, the mirror. Beautiful. Position on the wheel. The mirror is placed at the autumn equinox on 21 September at the gateway to the setting sun. The element is water. The dark midnight sea lies before the soul that must make the journey to the mysterious island for healing. Description. A dark serpentine figure rises from the water holding a golden mirror to her breast. Her curling tail vanishes into the water. With her left hand, she holds a crystal ball, the orb of seeing, held by the dark woman of knowledge, a figure from humanity's most ancient past. A heron stands motionless at the water's edge. A small wooden boat, which is still tethered, floats on the river current. In it lies an ethereal figure, a sleeping soul awaiting its journey to the island. Interesting. Next card, the journey. Number 13, the journey. The journey is placed at Samhain, which falls on 1 November, All Hallows or Halloween. It is associated with the waning moon and the elements of water and earth. It is the time of the dead. Description. The solitary horned skull of a reindeer lies in the forest, picked clean to the bone by a circling flock of ravens. The tattered remains of fur and flesh cling to the bright bone, and here and there traces of the living blood of life remind us that all flesh returns to the earth from whence it came. One great raven sits beside it, the flesh of the reindeer in its beak. As both guardian and guide, its unblinking eye is all-seeing and unafraid. In many traditions, the raven is a guardian of the spirits of the dead. At the Tower of London, ravens once guarded the head of Bran the Blessed, buried on the White Mount to keep Britain's enemies at bay. So too, the raven watches over the souls of those who fall in battle. Wow, very interesting. Next up, balance. Beautiful. The balance card is placed at Beltane, which falls on 1 May. It is associated with the half moon and universal lore. At the gateway of life, balance is linked with the elements of air and fire. Description. The polarized energies of the land interweave and intertwine around the staff of the heavens, generating the pulse of life. Red and white serpents coil around a great tree, the heart of the wildwood. Red and white energies represent the basic colors of a primal world. Red for blood, fire, and iron. White for milk, ash, and bone. These colors are particularly relevant to Beltane as it lies at the junction on the wheel between air, white, and fire, red. And from this interaction come creative impulses. The ancient symbol of the caduceus echoes the double helix of human DNA, the building blocks of life, where each strand contains the information of the whole. The human face of the wildwood has both a light and dark side, shown here on the face of the wooden mask carved into the tree itself. Both are natural and necessary components of the human condition. Beautiful. Number 15, the guardian. Position on the wheel. The guardian stands at Samhain on 1 November at the gateway of the dead. He stands between the elements of water and earth and is associated with the waning moon. Description. The bleached white skeleton of a great cave bear stands sentinel in the night, guarding the entrance to a cave. The guardian spirit of the beast challenges those who would enter the cave of ancestral memory without understanding the nature of their own darkness. Within the cave's open maw, filled with jagged and sharp stalactites, is an unknown and untrodden path. Its destination is shrouded in gloom. No inner light burns to show a way through. Before the path may be followed, the guardian must be faced and mastery of one's own fears achieved. Interesting. Next up, number 16, the blasted oak. Position on the wheel. The blasted oak is placed at Lammas on 1 August and beside the woodward on the inner circle of the wheel. This card is associated with the full moon, the elements of fire and water, and the concept of sacrifice. Description. A figure falls from a severed branch of the lightning flame stands around the falling figure, turning the hair to flame and burning the bonds that appear to have tied the person to the branch. As the figure falls, attached to neither tree nor earth, the powerful lightning energy charges the very air with dancing fingers of light and seeks to earth itself by passing through the figure and shooting from the outstretched fingers that seem to be reaching for the ground. Interesting. So that would be like the tower, right? The tower. Next up, the pole star. Position on the wheel. The pole star is placed at Imbolic on 1 February. It is associated with the new moon and universal lore and stands between the elements of earth and air. Description. The pure white light of the pole star illuminates the dark void of the universe and casts its radiance upon the earth. The stars represent the remotest power in the celestial sky and the interaction and fusion of particles that produce light and heat. Stars rise above the earth, beckoning our searching minds to reach beyond our own solar system and grasp the vastness of space. The swirling clouds of stellar dust that formed the heart of the stars spiral outward into infinity and turn with the cycle of the universe. The blessing of the pole star radiates to the earth across the abyss and reminds us that the same stuff of creation that fuels and binds these mighty sentinels of the night sky burns within us. Latest research shows that stars are initially formed as a sphere within a ring or circle of matter, echoing the cup and ring symbols found carved on the stones of prehistory that may represent the seed of manifestation and the source of creation itself. The blessing of the stellar world bathes the earth and the human spirit with healing and regenerative energy. Gorgeous. Next up, number 18, the moon on water. Okay. Position on the wheel. The moon on water is placed at the womb of the wheel, the midwinter solstice on 21 December, and the dark sun. Its element is earth, and it is at the gateway of the soul. It is the mystic still point where ideas and desires change from pure thought to objective reality. That's quite interesting. Description. A full moon rising above primal swampland illuminates a dark winter sky. The fallow landscape is dotted with the hardy marsh reeds and that survive and thrive in the peat-enriched water. A primal egg lies submerged in the nutrient-rich swamp, full of potential energy and creative power. The bare trees reach up toward the sky and await the return of spring as a flight of crows and a heron circle above. A lone oryx moves across the mysterious landscape. The moon is the nearest companion to us in the solar system, and it physically affects the tides and cycles of life on the earth, but its power goes far beyond that. In the primal world of the Wildwood, the moon also becomes the sacred and mysterious light that illuminates the darkness of the utter void. It is, therefore, a symbol of all the unconscious or unrealized insights into human reality. Interesting. Next up, the Sun of Life. Position on the wheel. The Sun of Life card is connected to the Green Man and Green Woman, all three representing the concept of fertility. It is associated with the element of fire, the period of noon, and the gateway of the mind. The sun sends down energy and light that provides a source of life-enriching power to the cycle of human endeavor. Description. A glorious golden sphere, glowing white-hot and filled with the churning matter of creation, rises over the landscape, filling the air with the power of our nearest star. Before it stands a figure with arms outstretched. The blessing of ancient sunlight shines within the figure's heart, around the image, flowers burst into blossoms, energized by the healing rays of the sun. Gorgeous. Next card, number 20, the Great Bear. Position on the wheel. The Great Bear is placed at the winter solstice on 21 December. Its element is earth, and it is associated with the dark sun, the gateway of the dead and their rebirth, and the still point of renewal and healing. Description. Between two yew trees lies an ancient burial mound of the kind known as a passage grave. Upon this, a polar bear crouches, keeping watch. The initiate has been laid to rest, covered by earth and stone, and now waits to be reborn, guarded by the shamanic sentinel of the mound. The traditional religious and political concepts of right and wrong, guilt and innocence have no place here, for the judgment that takes place during the time of rebirth is both inward and mystical, and yet outward and universal, reaching far beyond the narrow confines of human civilization and conventions. The constellation of the Great Bear stands out in the sky, indicating the entrance to the other world to which the seeker proceeds. Interesting. These are very, very interesting cards, I must say. Next up, 21, the World Tree, which is the last in the major arcana. Position on the wheel. The World Tree sits at the heart of this cycle, in the quadrant of fire. It encompasses all the different aspects of the wheel and the human aspects of the major arcana. Description. The Great World Tree marks the end of the wanderer's journey. All 4 seasons are represented in the branches of the tree, and at its base is a labyrinth of the kind found in many parts of the world and dating back to prehistoric times. Beautiful. Okay, so next we're going to go up to the suit of arrows. Okay, and it says suit of arrows. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Position on the wheel. The period of spring moving from embolic through the spring equinox towards Beltane. Element is air. So these would be like swords, right? Associations. Creative intellect, conceptual dreams, strategy, projected wishes, communication, ambition, cunning, being of the mind. We start out with the King of Arrows. Kingfisher, position on the wheel, departing embolic towards the spring equinox. It doesn't have any descriptions, but I will read the meaning. Meaning, this tiny bird, both sexes covered with the colors of the rainbow, is equally at home in the air or in the water. With its remarkable ability to dive into the water and catch fish, the kingfisher has been symbolic of ancient wisdom and lore for centuries. Queen of Arrows, Swan. Meaning, this graceful and powerful bird has long been associated with myth and legend, from the Greek Leda, transformed into a swan after materializing after mating with Zeus in this form, to Elsa of Brabant in the stories of the Grail Knight Lohengrin. The swan is a strong and regal protector. Next up, the Knight of Arrows, Hawk. Meaning, quick, graceful, and a master of the element of air. The hawk is symbolic of vision and power, the ability to fly and nest at high altitude and see prey and hunt from a great height brings a special reverence to this majestic and fearless creature. Next up, the Page of Arrows, Wren. The colors of the gold crest, red, white, green, and black, were once held to be sacred, and the common wren was considered a guardian of the winter mysteries. Druids kept wrens as totem animals of augury and prophecy and ritually sacrificed them on St. Stephen's Day, 26 December. Next up, the Ace of Arrows, the Breath of Life. The dead, or this one has a description. The head of the Uffington white horse, outlined on the green grass of the downs, stares out at us from the card. An arrow hangs above the eye, pointing outward to all possible futures. Spiraling wisps of energy issue from its mouth. The eye of the horse shines with energy. Next up, Two of Arrows. Description. Two of Arrows, Injustice. Description. The enthroned and faceless figure of justice sits like a statue, her feet resting on an ancient wooden longbow. Her eyes are bound, and she wears a simple white gown. Above her head are the uneven scales, one plate bearing a feather, the other a few coins. She holds 2 arrows in her arms. Three of Arrows, Jealousy. Description. A great heart-shaped form hangs at the center of the picture. It is pierced by 3 arrows. Drops of blood fall from it, watering the earth below. That's kind of sad. Next up, the 4 of Arrows, Rests. Description. On the ground lies a figure with closed eyes. There are 4 arrows driven into the earth, 2 at the head and 2 at the knees. Rising above is a great multicolored butterfly from which rays of energy pour in all directions, bathing the figure in light. 5 of Arrows, Frustration. Description. A goat with long curving horns and wildly tangled coat leaps upward into the sky. Around it are 4 arrows, none of which strike it. Below stands a hunter, clad in leather and bark. His bow is strung with a 5th arrow as he aims at the elusive prey. Run, goat, run, run. Okay. 6 of Arrows, Transition. Description. A stylized wooden boat with a swan prow floats on a still pool of water. A single white sail in which a 6-pointed star is outlined by 6 arrows drives it. In the prow of the boat stands a lone cloaked figure. 7 of Arrows, Insecurity. Description. At the center stands a green woman clad in leaves and with hair that seems to grow from her head like vines. Her arms are raised in blessing, but arrows pierce her flesh and fly towards her. Eight of Arrows. Struggle. Description. A lone figure struggles across a bleak landscape, leaning heavily on a staff. Closely wrapped in a cloak and thick garments, she fights her way through a blizzard that whirls around her. In the ground, amid the whirling snowflakes, we see 8 bent, broken, and wasted arrows, weathered and tattered by the elements. Next up, 9 of Arrows. Dedication. Description. A figure clad in skin robes, decorated with patterns of leaves, stands in a clearing amid the wildwood. She is holding a bow as though it were an instrument. The black of the bow crafted in her arms and an arrow held against the string as if it were the bow on a fiddle. Around her, repulsed by an invisible shield, are another 8 arrows. Interesting. And the last card is 10 of Arrows. Instruction. Description. A man teaches his son how to hold and shoot a small bow and arrows. In the background is an abstract design of a wheel in which the spokes are 9 arrows. The 10th is knocked to the child's bow. Interesting. Okay, next we're going to go over to the suit of Bose. Let me make sure you're still, yeah, you are. Okay, suit of Bose. Destiny is not a matter of chance, it is a matter of choice. It is not a thing to be waited for, it is a thing to be achieved. William Jennings Bryan. Position on the wheel. The season of summer, moving from Beltane through midsummer to Lammas. Element is fire, so these must be wands. Bose is wands. Associations. Creativity, development, enterprise, science, philosophical and esoteric pursuits, skillful ability fueled by will. Well, ain't that the truth, right? Okay. King of Bose, Adder. Meaning. Okay, so this one doesn't have a description. Meaning. At this time of year, the adder represents serpentine, earth energies rising from the ground into the air and intertwining. As male adders struggle for dominance, sometimes this is mistaken for a mating ritual. They also represent magical power, balance, and the healing arts. Next up. Queen of Bose, Hare. Meaning, hares have been linked to the spring, Oester, the Saxon hare goddess, and sexuality since Celtic times, when it was considered taboo to kill them. Prolific breeders, they represent fertility and potential. The hare is also famous for the boxing ritual that takes place during March. Interesting to know. Next up is Knight of Bose, Fox. Isn't he beautiful? Meaning, the qualities of cunning and stalking combined with great alertness and curiosity make the fox a stealthy night hunter, Often seen at dawn, the fox retains a beguiling mixture of wisdom and playfulness. Okay, and that's it for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the, I wonder if I can get this thing back on. Ooh, I did. Ooh, I did. Okay. I'll put that one back in the box. And we will move on to this pile. So we can get started. We make sure I'm... Okay, here we go. So here we go with the A Page of Bose. Stoat. Meaning, with a fierce hunting instinct and its ability to live underground, combined with the changing color of its fur from white to red and its black tail, the three sacred colors of the ancient world, the stoat has strong mystical links to the sovereignty of the land. Beautiful. Stoat. Next card, the Ace of Bose, Spark of Life. Okay, so we're back to descriptions now. It's interesting how the court cards don't have descriptions. Description. Against a shimmering background of leaves and branches, a stout, rough-hewn hunting bow shimmers with the fire of life itself. The tip of an arrow rests on a heap of kindling chaff, and curled bark is bursting into flame as the tip flashes with brilliant, incandescent lights. Beautiful. Two of Bose, Decision. Description. A figure stands on a hilltop at night against a backdrop of stars. Around his head blazes a corona of flames, the fires of decision. In each hand he holds a tall, unfinished bow stave that extends above his head. From the bow staves burst flames, an expression of his vigor and strength. Next up, Three of Bose, Fulfillment. Description. A robed figure stands at the junction of two ways, one hand raised in blessing, the other holding a bow. Two bow staves made from freshly cut branches, trimmed but still rough-hewn, stand planted in the earth on either side of the road, forming a gateway through which the figure offers welcome to the approaching traveler. Interesting. Four of Bose. Celebration. Description. Four finished but unstrung long bows are held by joyous figures dancing in celebration of the bounty of the season. There is a blazing log fire in the center of a clearing, deep in the heart of the forest. The fire radiates heat and light and sends shards of the warm orange glow deep into the darkest corners of the wildwood. Next card, Five of Bose, Empowerment. Description. Four unfletched bow staves lie like offerings before the mighty figure of the Cern Abbas giant, who holds a fifth in his hand, an ancient emblem of fertility. He has long been seen as an opener of the ways. Beautiful. Six of Bose, Abundance. Description. In the heart of the forest clearing is a six-spoked, star-shaped log fire formed from trimmed but unfletched bow staves. It radiates light and heat and forms the pattern of the seasons. The fire is surrounded with representations of all manner of nature or all manner of natural forest riches from the summer season. Beautiful. 7 of Bose, clearance. Description: a worn, broken, and splintered bow rests on the ground. 6 staff-prepared bow staves stand to one side. A bonfire burns off timber waste. The smoke curls through the trees and up towards the sky, but the flames are bright and small showers of sparks light the evening sky. Eight of Bose, hearth fire. Description: on the edge of a sparse winter forest camp, lit with the warm, dancing flames of a large log fire, we see 8 figures gathered around a roaring hearth fire. The merry band raise goblets, shake hands, and laugh, bathing in the shared bond of fellowship and harmony created by the true loyalty of lifelong friends. That is beautiful. 9 of Bose, respect. Description: the wild and fearsome Wildwood of the forest crosses your path, brandishing a rough-hewn bow. The Woodwose is linked to many ancient worldwide legends of large and hairy wild men of the forest. He challenges our dedication and courage to continue along a chosen path. 10 of Bose, responsibility. Description: a lone figure carries 10 unfinished longbow staves over his shoulder. He struggles stoically and determinedly with the heavy burden towards a woodland encampment of hunters and warriors. Fires burn as the figure toils up the dark, winding forest pathway towards the reassuring glow of security and companionship. Beautiful. And then we are going to go to the suit of vessels. So this has got to be cups, right? We'll find out. Let me read this real quick. Okay, suit of vessels. Even now I know that I have savored the hot taste of life, lifting green cups and gold at the great feast. Just for a small and a forgotten time, I have had full in my eyes from off my girl the whitest pouring of eternal light. Bilhana. Position on the wheel. The period from Lammas through the autumn equinox to Samhain. Element is water. Emotions. Relationships, romance, compassion, forgiveness, instinct, joy, faith, mourning, being of the heart. And here we go. Oh wait, this is stones. Where's the, okay, let me fix this because I'm just reading from the book. We'll go with the stones later, obviously. We'll just fix it since we're here. There we go. Okay, I'm looking at that. Oh, okay. King of Vessels. Heron. Meaning, greeting the dawn, often alone, the heron is reputed to be gifted with psychic perception and reflection. The guardian of many esoteric secrets, it is said to stand at the gateway between life and death and to act as mediator on the soul's journey to the Celtic otherworld and incarnation. Queen of Vessels. Salmon, meaning sacred in most shamanic systems. The salmon's ability to swim upstream to its birthplace and spawn is one of the most remarkable feats. The journey leaves the salmon exhausted, and most die in the attempt. Thus, they represent self-sacrifice. Salmon were said to swim in pools overhung by hazel trees, and to eat the nuts of wisdom that fell in autumn. Knight of Vessels, eel, meaning the eel is a wise protector. According to Irish myth, certain eels could turn into weapons when wielded by a warrior. Cuchulain's famous spear, the Gay Bolga, derives its name from the eel, and the warrior goddess, the Morrigan, assumed that form in battle. The eel swims where weeds and cresses drift. Interesting. Page of Vessels, otter, meaning equally at home on land or in water. The otter's ability to move between these spheres, perceived as the way between worlds, made it especially sacred to the Celts. It is also listed as one of the oldest animals in the story of the rescue of the child god Mabon. Ace of Vessels, the waters of life. Description: a horned forest deer lowers its regal head to drink from a stream in which floats a swan, together with a tiny boat shaped like a new moon. A tiny boat shaped like a new moon, okay. The flow of water from the great stone cauldron enters the stream, which supports both the swan and the moon cup and feeds the deer. Next up, Two of Vessels, attraction. Description: two anthropomorphic figures, a horse-headed female and a stag-headed male, face each other with one hand raised and one lowered. Their arms form a diamond shape, and in the center is an inflamed heart. From their two lowered hands flow streams of water, falling into two cups, which sit upon a low hill beneath them. Beautiful. Three of Vessels, joy. Description: three white cranes dance with each other, forming a triangle with their bodies and wings. Two stand facing, heads raised, and the third rises above them with spread wings. In the spaces between their legs are three vessels, one golden, one green, and one white. Celebration. Okay. Four of Vessels, boredom. Description: a female figure sits at the mouth of a cave in a typical pose of boredom, staring at nothing. Beside the cave entrance are two vessels from which sprout a vine-like plant, which curls up over the rock to form a tangled arc. Caught in the thicket are two more vessels from which streams of water issue. Five of Vessels, Ecstasy. Description. A female figure dances ecstatically against a starry sky within a pentacle drawn in the earth. In one hand is a thyrus, in the other a leather-headed rattle on which is a stylized face. A necklace of animal teeth swings from her neck, at the points of which the pentacle are 5 vessels, each one giving forth light as though it held a burning candle. Six of Vessels, Reunion. Description. A green mound is crowned by a grove of trees. In the face of the mound is an entrance framed with upright slabs of stone. Water gushes from the mouth of the mound and spreads out to form a pool of still water. On the water float 6 small vessels, each one filled with light. 2 otters regard the scene. 7 of Vessels, Mourning. Description. A human skull painted with an array of designs, including spirals, zigzags, and wavy lines, lies at the foot of a tree. Around it are scattered typical grave goods, 5 cups, an oil lamp, and an offering bowl. 8 of Vessels, Rebirth. Description. From the middle of a fast-flowing stream, we see an ancient cauldron hanging from a great chain. In the trees above it are 3 smaller cauldrons. Water and energy flow from them, filling the great cauldron, which in turn overflows and fills 4 more, which sit on the rocks below and overflow into the stream. Interesting. It's beautiful. Okay. 9 of Vessels, Generosity. Description. A cross-legged figure sits with his arms spread as if in blessing. Energy flows from him in all directions, downwards into 3 vessels below him, upwards into 3 vessels above him. Excuse me. What did I say? Above him. Outwards into 2 vessels on either side of him. The 9th vessel sits in the hollow formed by his legs. It glows with light and energy rising from the base chakra. Vibrant card. 10 of Vessels, Happiness. Description. A waterfall foams over rocks from a low cliff decked with trees. The cascade creates dozens of separate water flows, which fall into a river below. Near the bottom of the waterfall, 10 vessels are arranged, and the water fills them to overflowing. Beautiful. And here we go with the Suit of Stones. Let me read this. Suit of Stones. I learned this, at least, by my experiments, that if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. Henry David Thoreau. Position on the wheel. The period of winter moving from Samhain through midwinter to embolic. Element is earth. Associations, achievement, possessions, material security, practical skills, physical abilities, worldly ambitions, being of the world. King of Stones, wolf, meaning revered as a ruthless tracker and hunter, the wolf has had a special symbolism for thousands of years and was the subject of ancient Pictish stone carvings. Comfortable in the dark and cold of winter, it was seen as a guardian of the dead in their journey through the night of the to the underworld. Queen of Stones, bear, meaning the ancient ancestor of the modern bear. The cave bear hibernated in caves during the cold northern winter. Neanderthals buried their skulls here and even shared their caves during some periods, often linked to Arthurian legend. The bear is a symbol of the power and protection of the land. Knight of Stones, horse, meaning the prehistoric horse, once common in Europe, was often depicted in Paleolithic cave art. The Uffington white horse chalk figure once held a long barrow in its mouth, representing the breath of life and protection of the dead. The 30,000-year-old carving of an unshod hoof is said to represent both the vulva, new life, and the primal footprint showing the track through the forest. Page of Stones, lynx, meaning still found in mountain woodlands in parts of Europe. The lynx is one of the creatures at the very top of the food chain. With its speed and cunning, combined with its ability to climb trees, it is a formidable hunter as well as a fierce protector of its young. Okay, next up, almost done here. Ace of Stones, the foundation of life. Description: a tall, lichen-stained rock erupts from the earth, shaped like an ancient spearhead. It is covered with painted cup and ring designs. At the center of the familiar labyrinth design, which has appeared in other cards throughout the pack, behind it, the trees form a respectful circle. All right. I was going to start reading again, but I have to turn the card, right? Two of Stones, challenge. Description: two low, worn stones stand side by side at the edge of the trees. On each one stands a hare. They are boxing furiously. Ripples of energy flow out from them as if their power and force were manifesting. Three of Stones, creativity. Description: a huge trilith stands amid bushes and rocks. On the left-hand pillar is a great aurochs from the painted caves of France. On the right is an ancient horse known as, I'm going to ruin this word, Przewalski, standing between the stones. On one hand on each is a green woman from whose feet roots of energy spread out as she draws upon the strength of the stones and the earth. Okay, Four of Stones, protection. Description: A newborn fawn shelters beneath a dolmen as the midsummer sun rises, filling the land with energy. Fiery rays stream out into a dark blue sky where stars shine. On each of the stones is painted a symbol from one of the ancient Bronze Age barrows: a diamond shape, a sun circle, and a forked lightning flash. Five of Stones, Endurance. A child dressed in simple skin clothing sits in the entrance of a cave, looking out at a dark sky split by lightning. A small fire burns before him, and by its light we see that 4 deep cracks have split the walls of the cave entrance into 5 massive blocks of stone. 6 of Stones, Exploitation. 2 ragged and distraught figures, an old man and a girl, stand by a row of damaged and abandoned beehives holding empty bowls. Broken and unused farming tools lie on the ground nearby. Through the leafless trees we see the surrounding fields, barren and desolate. In the distance, smoke rises from burning piles of spoiled crops. Interesting. 7 of Stones, Healing. Description: a green woman sits cross-legged at the center of a circle of 7 low and weathered stones. In front of her, on the ground, lies a man dressed in the garb of a hunter. The green woman holds out her hands, palms down, over the body, streams of energy shooting along her fingers. Eight of Stones, Skill. Description: a man clad in skins sits in a cave working at a stone carving. Around him, on the walls and the ground, are 7 objects which he has created. To one side is an ancient handprint, the signature of the maker. 3 rush lamps paint the scene with light and shadow. Next card, 9 of Stones, Tradition. Description: in front of a circle of 9 tall stones sits the cross-legged horned figure of the shaman from the Gunderstruck cauldron, hands raised with the serpent of wisdom in one hand and the torque of lordship in the other. Above the scene, a full moon rises. Beautiful. 10 of Stones, Home. Well, isn't that gorgeous? Description: a great arc made up of 10 weathered stones frames the picture. Through this gate we glimpse an Iron Age round house with a path leading to it. From the thatched roof of the house rises a mighty apple tree. Carved into the 2 lowest stones of the great arc are rough-hewn male and female figures. Beautiful. Well, this is definitely an unusual deck, right? I'm not. I think that it's kind of. I'm not sure really what to think of it because, there are some cards that have traditional symbolisms and meanings, right, to the traditional tarot. And then there are other cards that like, you know, the Seven of Cups, right? It's a card of choices, not of grieving. So, you know, I would say that this is definitely something different. The cards obviously mean different things than what the traditional tarot was meant to mean. So this is an unusual deck indeed, and I think that it is for probably a more advanced reader that would want to bond with it. I don't know, maybe a newer reader would be able to understand and bond with those, with the meanings in the descriptions better than the traditional deck. You never know. But that is the Wildwood Tarot. And if you would like to purchase a deck of your own, there is a link to where I purchased it. It is an affiliate link. Although I gotta tell you, I've never been paid from Amazon, so it is what it is. But it'll take you directly to where I purchased this. And if there are, let me know what you think of this in the comments below. But if there are any other decks that you would like for me to review like this, just put it in the comments and let me know. Other than that, I will see you on the next video, and have yourself a great day. Bye.